Specimen question paper issued by UPSC. With answer: Civil Services, Main, Examination General Studies. Q8. Rock cut architecture. It represents one of the most important sources of knowledge about ancient Indian art and history. Discuss. Answer. About dates of words. Rock cut architecture is a vital source for understanding ancient Indian art and history. This architecture, carved into mountains and rocks, includes caves, chaityas, viharas, and temples. Caves such as those at Ajanta, Ellora, Elephanta, Bagh, and Karle offer a vivid picture of the religious, cultural, and artistic traditions of the society of that time. These rock-cut structures clearly reflect the gradual development of Buddhism, Jainism, and Hinduism. Wall paintings, sculptures, and sculptures provide insights into contemporary lifestyles, clothing, jewelry, social structure, and religious beliefs. Furthermore, rock-cut architecture demonstrates a high level of technical skill, architectural planning, and aesthetics. Thus, rock-cut architecture not only highlights the excellence of Indian art, but is also an authentic and valuable source for the social, religious, and cultural study of ancient Indian history. Q. The Pala period is a very important phase in the history of Buddhism in India. Discuss. Answer in about dates or words. Answer. 8th to 12th centuries AD is considered a crucial phase in the history of Buddhism in India. During this period, the Pala rulers, particularly Gopala, Dharmpala, and Devpala, provided extensive patronage to Buddhism. The Pala rulers were major patrons of the Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhist traditions, which led to the development of Buddhist philosophy and tantric practices. During this period, great Buddhist universities and monasteries such as Nalanda, Vikramshila, Sompur Mahavihara, Paharpur, and Odanpuri were established and flourished, becoming international centers of learning. Students from Tibet, China, and Southeast Asia came here to study. The Pala period saw the development of a distinctive style of Buddhist art known as Pala art, which produced exquisite bronze and stone sculptures. Thus, the Pala period played a decisive role in the educational, philosophical, cultural, and artistic development of Buddhism. Q3. Evaluate Lord Curzon's policies and their long-term impact on the national movement. Answer in dates or words. Answer. Lord Curzon, 1899 to 1905, focused on strengthening the colonial administration, but they also intensified Indian nationalism. Administratively, he reformed the police, education, and irrigation systems, and focused on archaeological conservation. However, many of his policies were repressive and undemocratic. The partition of Bengal in 1905 symbolized the policy of divide and rule, which sparked widespread mass movements, the Swadeshi movement, and the boycott movement. The Universities Act 1904 increased government control over higher education, leading to discontent among the educated class. Restrictions on the press and the curtailment of the autonomy of the Calcutta Corporation limited political participation. The long-term effect of these measures was that the Indian national movement became more organized, mass-based, and militant. Curzon's policies inspired nationalists to move beyond liberals and toward direct mass movements, changing both the direction and intensity of the freedom struggle. Question. Q4. Discuss the geophysical characteristics of the Circum-Pacific region. Answer in dates or words. Answer. The Circum-Pacific Zone is Earth's most geologically active region, commonly referred to as the Ring of Fire. This region surrounds the Pacific Ocean and experiences intense plate tectonic activity. The region's primary feature is convergent plate boundaries, where oceanic plates subduct beneath continental or other oceanic plates, subduction. This results in the formation of deep-sea trenches, such as the Mariana Trench and volcanic arcs. This region is responsible for approximately 75% of the world's active volcanoes and the majority of earthquakes. All three types of earthquakes, shallow, medium, and deep, occur here. Intense seismicity, frequent volcanic eruptions, mountain building, and a rich abundance of geothermal energy are the region's major geophysical features. Thus, the Circum-Pacific region clearly reflects the Earth's internal dynamics. Question 5. The process of desertification has no climatic boundaries. Justify with examples. 150 words. Answer. Desertification is the process of a progressive decline in land productivity. It is not limited to arid or semi-arid climates, but occurs across a variety of climatic conditions. Its primary causes are human activities and natural processes, not just climate. For example, in dry regions, overgrazing, deforestation, and water overexploitation contribute to desertification. In humid and subhumid regions, soil erosion, improper agricultural practices, excessive use of chemical fertilizers, and industrial activities also cause land degradation. In India, land degradation is observed in the arid region of Rajasthan, as well as in relatively fertile areas like Punjab and Haryana. Therefore, it is clear that desertification does not have any fixed climatic limit. Rather, it is the result of human-induced activities and unbalanced use of resources. Question 6. How will the melting of Himalayan glaciers have far-reaching effects on India's water resources? Answer in 150 words. Answer. Himalayan glaciers are the permanent water source for India's major rivers, the Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, and Indus. Rapid glacial melting may increase river flows in the initial years, increasing the risk of disasters such as floods, landslides, and glacial lake outbursts, GLOFs. In the long term, glacial shrinkage will reduce river flows, reducing water availability during the dry season. This will adversely impact agricultural irrigation, drinking water supply, and hydropower generation. Additionally, river ecosystems will be disrupted and sediment transport will be altered. Groundwater recharge in the plains will be affected, exacerbating the water crisis. Overall, glacial melting poses a serious long-term threat to India's water security, food security, and livelihoods. Question 7. Explain, with examples, the reasons for the current location of the iron and steel industries away from the source of raw materials. Answer in about 150 words. Answer. The location of iron and steel industries far from their raw material sources is a result of numerous economic, technological, and geographical factors. Initially, these industries were located near iron ore and coal because transportation facilities were limited. However, in modern times, advanced modes of transportation, such as rail, road, and sea, have made it possible to cheaply transport raw materials to distant locations. Additionally, the increasing use of scrap, old iron, has reduced dependence on raw iron ore. With the development of electric furnaces, energy availability has become more important than the proximity of raw materials. Locating industries near markets reduces transportation costs and ensures faster product delivery to consumers. For example, in Japan, steel plants are located in coastal areas away from iron ore sources, where imported raw materials are readily available. Similarly, the Visakhapatnam steel plant in India relies on imported raw materials due to its coastal location. Question 8. Has caste lost its relevance in understanding multicultural Indian society? Answer with examples. 150 words. Answer. In multicultural Indian society, caste has not completely lost its relevance. Rather, its form has changed. Modern education, urbanization, industrialization, constitutional equality, and democratic values have weakened caste rigidities. Today, merit and individual identity are increasingly valued in many areas of employment, education, marriage, and social interaction. Intercaste marriages, urban mixed settlements, and shared workplaces are examples of this. Nevertheless, caste still plays a significant role in socio-political life. The caste-based social structure in rural areas, the preference for caste in marriage, and caste equations in electoral politics demonstrate its continued relevance. Reservation policies also consider caste as an important basis for social justice. Therefore, it can be said that the role of caste has not ended in the multicultural Indian society, rather, it has transformed from a traditional social control to a socio-political identity. Question: No. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated class inequalities and poverty in India. Comment: Dates or words. Answer: The COVID-19 pandemic further deepened existing inequalities in India's socio-economic structure. During the lockdown, the unorganized sector, daily wage laborers, migrant workers, and small businesses were most affected. The sudden loss of income pushed millions below the poverty line. In contrast, the organized sector and higher income groups remained relatively protected due to digital media and work-from-home facilities. The digital divide in education disrupted the education of poor children, while the affluent remained connected to online education. Inequalities in access to healthcare were also evident, with private hospitals limited to the affluent. Women and vulnerable groups faced increased burdens of unemployment and domestic insecurity. Thus, COVID-19 it not only exposed existing class inequalities, but also served to intensify poverty and social inequality. Question: Thus, do you agree that regionalism in India appears to be a result of increasing cultural assertiveness? Give arguments. Dates or words. Answer: Yes, it can be said that cultural assertiveness has played a significant role in the rise of regionalism in India. India is a multilingual, multicultural, and multi-religious country, where different regions have their own distinct identities, traditions, and historical experiences. When a region's language, culture, or traditions do not receive adequate recognition, awareness of cultural identity grows. This awareness often manifests as regionalism. For example, the formation of states based on language, movements to protect local culture, and the rise of regional political parties are all results of cultural assertiveness. However, regionalism is not always negative. If it promotes local development, cultural preservation, and democratic participation, it can play a positive role. However, when it leads to narrow-mindedness, discrimination, and goes against national unity, it becomes a matter of concern. Therefore, it is essential to maintain balance. Question 14. Indian philosophy and tradition have played a significant role in the conception and shaping of Indian monuments and art. Discuss. Answer. A. Have profoundly influenced the structure, form, ornamentation, and symbolism of Indian monuments since ancient times. The concepts of spirituality, dharma, karma, moksha, and the universe inherent in Indian philosophy are clearly reflected in the planning and art of the monuments. In Hindu philosophy, temples were considered the abode of deities, and therefore their structure was linked to cosmic symbolism. The sanctum sanctorum of the temple was considered the center of the universe, while the shikhra symbolized the upward journey of the soul. According to the principles of Vastu Shastra, special attention was paid to direction, proportion, and geometry. Sculpture in temples such as Khajuraho and Konark depicted the balance of life, religion, and work. Buddhist philosophy emphasized simplicity, meditation, and compassion. This influence led to the development of stupas, prominent among them being the Sanchi stupa. The circular shape of the stupa reflects the concepts of chakra and nirvana. The paintings of the Ajanta caves propagated moral values through depictions of the life of the Buddha and the Jatak tales. Jain philosophy emphasizes non-violence, asceticism, and self-control. Consequently, Jain temples feature intricate and exquisitely carved carvings, symbolizing meditation and spiritual discipline. Thus, Indian philosophy and tradition did not allow monuments to remain merely architectural structures, but made them a powerful medium of spiritual, cultural, and philosophical expression. Question: Q-Bara. The Persian literary sources of medieval India reflect the spirit of that period. Comment: High-Sowards. Answer: A. Persian literary sources in medieval India vividly reflect the political, social, religious, and cultural sentiments of the era. Persian was the official language during the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal period, and thus served as the primary medium for history writing, administrative accounts, and literary expression. The works of Persian historians and writers provide a clear picture of the policies, governance, court culture, and power structures of the rulers of the time. For example, the Tarikh-i-Firuz Shahi, Tabd-i-Nasiri, Akbarnama, and Inayk-Bri provide detailed descriptions of the administration, revenue system, military, and other aspects of the empire. There are detailed descriptions of justice and court life. This provides a glimpse into the state's centralized power, autocratic monarchy, and bureaucratic system. These sources reflect both religious tolerance and conflict. While some writers emphasized Islamic ideals and the Sharia, Sufi ideology, humanism, and a spirit of integration also emerged. Sufi literature emphasized love, compassion, and a spiritual connection with God, reflecting the social consciousness of the period. Additionally, Persian literature was written from a courtly perspective, so it often contains praise for rulers, tales of victory, and biased portrayals of events. Nevertheless, these sources provide important insights into the structure of medieval society, the status of women, education, art, architecture, and cultural exchange. Thus, the Persian literary sources of medieval India not only provide details of historical events, but also reflect the overall spirit, mentality, and outlook on life of that age. Question: Tera. 1920s, the national movement embraced various ideological currents and broadened its social base. Discuss. High-Sowards. Answer: The 1920s, the Indian national movement, instead of being confined solely to political independence, embraced various ideological currents, broadening its social base. With the non-cooperation movement 1920-22, the national movement transformed into a mass movement. Gandhian ideology of non-violence and satyagraha actively engaged peasants, workers, women, and students. The influence of socialist and leftist ideologies also grew during this period. In the late 1920s and 1930s, leaders such as Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose promoted ideas such as socialism, economic equality, and the role of the state. This brought support to the movement from industrial workers, youth, and intellectuals. The participation of trade unions and farmers' organizations linked the movement to socio-economic issues. The current of revolutionary nationalism also provided ideological diversity to the movement. Bhagat Singh and his comrades prioritized the struggle against imperialism as well as social injustice. This instilled a spirit of sacrifice and courage among the youth. Along with this, issues of Dalits, TR1BILs, and backward classes also came on the agenda of the national movement. Social reform movements, protests against separate electorates, and events like the Pune Pact brought social justice into the national discourse. Women's participation, the salt satyagraha, the boycott of foreign textiles, etc., made the movement more socially inclusive. Thus, in 1920, after the 1950s, the national movement became multi-ideological and multi-layered. The integration of various ideologies not only strengthened the freedom struggle but also broadened and deepened its social base. Question 14. Interlinking rivers can provide practical solutions to multifaceted, interrelated problems such as drought, floods, and disrupted water transport. Critically examine. Highs or words? Answer. The concept of river interlinking aims to ensure a balanced distribution of water resources, addressing both water surplus and water scarcity problems. In a monsoon-fed country like India, some areas experience frequent floods, while others face severe droughts. River linking projects can help with irrigation, drinking water supply, and industrial use by diverting surplus water to water-scarce areas. This could boost agricultural production, create rural employment, and promote inland water transport. The development of waterways would reduce transportation costs and encourage environmentally friendly transportation. Furthermore, the potential for hydroelectric power generation could also increase. Question Q15. Analyze the causes of widespread flooding in Indian cities with populations exceeding 1 million, including smart cities like Hyderabad and Pune. Suggest permanent preventive measures. Answer in 250 words. Answer A. Recurrent flooding has become a serious urban crisis in India's metropolitan cities. Cities like Hyderabad, Pune, Chennai, and Bangalore have witnessed widespread waterlogging and loss of life and property following heavy rainfall in recent years. Main causes of floods: Kissi Smiley. 1. Unplanned urbanization, encroachment on natural drainage channels, drains and floodplains due to rapid population growth. 2. Climate change, increasing frequency of short-term extreme rainfall, cloudburst-like events. 3. Inadequate drainage system, old and narrow drains are not cleaned and their rainwater carrying capacity is low. 4. Degradation of lakes and wetlands. There has been a significant reduction in the number of lakes in Hyderabad and Bangalore, leading to a decrease in natural water storage. 5. Concretization and impermeability of the land, rainwater does not get absorbed into the ground and surface runoff increases. 6. Weak urban governance, lack of coordination, poor enforcement of rules. Permanent preventive measures. 1. Holistic urban water management, watershed-based planning and restoration of natural drains. 2. Conservation of lakes and wetlands, their revival by removing encroachments. 3. Making rainwater harvesting mandatory, strict adherence to rainwater harvesting at the building level. 4. Green infrastructure, permeable pavements, urban forests, green roofs. 5. Smart drainage system, real-time monitoring, IoT, and scheduled cleaning. 6. Urban planning reforms, restrictions on construction in flood-prone areas. Thus, a coordinated and long-term approach of technical, environmental, and administrative reforms is necessary to deal with floods. However, the project is also associated with numerous challenges. The construction of large dams and canals could lead to deforestation, loss of biodiversity, and ecological imbalance. Displacement of local communities, socio-economic problems, and water disputes between states are also serious issues. Furthermore, climate change is increasing uncertainty in river flows, raising questions about long-term sustainability. Environmentally sensitive and participatory approach is essential, including measures such as rainwater harvesting, water-efficient irrigation, groundwater conservation, and river rejuvenation. Question Solar. India has enormous potential for solar energy, although there are regional disparities in its development. Discuss. Highs or words? Answer. India is among the countries with immense potential for solar energy. Much of the country lies near the Tropic of Cancer, resulting in abundant sunshine for approximately 300 days a year. India's average solar radiation capacity is approximately 4 7 Wh per square meter per day, which is considered favorable for solar energy production. For this reason, the Indian government has made renewable energy, especially solar energy, a key source of energy security and sustainable development. However, regional disparities in solar energy development are evident. Arid and semi-arid regions such as Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra have significant solar energy potential due to year-round sunshine, low cloud cover, and vast unused land. Consequently, most of India's largest solar parks, such as Bhadla, Rajasthan, and Pavagadh, Gujarat, have been developed in these regions. In contrast, Northeast India, the Himalayan region, and coastal and hindfall states such as Kerala, West Bengal, and Assam have relatively low solar energy development due to cloud cover, high rainfall, limited land, and complex topography. Furthermore, a lack of grid infrastructure, land acquisition problems, a lack of financial resources, and differences in technical expertise also exacerbate regional disparities. To reduce these disparities, the government is promoting rooftop solar schemes, solar pumps, decentralized solar energy systems, and storage technologies, battery storage. In conclusion, India has enormous potential for solar energy, but regional challenges must be addressed for balanced and inclusive growth. Question Q-Satra. Examine the status of India's forest resources and its consequent impact on climate change. High words. Answer A. India's forest resources play a vital role in the country's ecological stability, biodiversity conservation, and climate balance. According to the India State of Forest Report, ISFR, approximately 24% of the country's geographical area is covered by forest and tree cover, while the National Forest Policy targets 33%. While forest cover has increased marginally in recent years, this increase is largely limited to plantations and commercial species, rather than the strengthening of natural forests. India's natural forests are under increasing pressure from urbanization, industrialization, mining, agricultural expansion, and illegal logging. This is leading to deforestation, biodiversity loss, and adversely affecting the livelihoods of forest-dependent communities. Forest ecosystems act as carbon sinks and regulate climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Deforestation reduces this capacity, leading to increased greenhouse gas emissions. The effects of deforestation are reflected in changes in the rainfall cycle, temperature rise, soil erosion, and increased frequency of floods and droughts. Forest loss in the Himalayan regions is causing landslides and drying up of water sources, while the decline of mangrove forests in coastal areas intensifies the impact of cyclones. Therefore, to address the challenge of climate change, not only tree planting but also conservation of natural forests, community-based forest management, sustainable development, and effective policy implementation are essential. Strong forest conservation is key to achieving India's climate goals. Question 18. Are diversity and pluralism in India under threat due to globalization? Answer with justification. High words. Answer A. Globalization has had a profound impact on India's socio-cultural landscape. While it has expanded economic opportunities, technological advancement, and global connectivity, it has also posed challenges to India's diversity and pluralism. The impact of globalization has fostered a consumerist culture and a uniform lifestyle. The proliferation of multinational corporations, global media, and digital platforms is gradually marginalizing local languages, folk cultures, traditional foods, and clothing. This increases the risk of cultural homogenization, which poses a challenge to India's diverse identity. At the same time, globalization has exacerbated economic inequalities. The growing gap between urban and rural, rich and poor, and organized and unorganized sectors gives rise to social tensions, which can weaken the spirit of pluralism. The influence of global ideologies and identity-based politics has also led to a tendency towards social polarization. However, it would not be fair to say that globalization is only a threat. It has given marginalized communities the opportunity to make their voices heard on the global stage. Indian cinema, yoga, Ayurveda, classical music, and local handicrafts have gained international recognition. The Constitution, democratic institutions, and the Indian tradition of unity in diversity have been able to balance the negative effects of globalization. Therefore, it can be concluded that globalization is neither a threat nor a boon to India's diversity and pluralism. It is essential to balance globalization within the Indian context through inclusive policies, cultural preservation, and constitutional values, so that diversity and pluralism remain strong. Question 19. Customs and traditions suppress reason and promote superstition. Do you agree? Answer in 250 words. Answer. Customs and traditions are the foundation of any society's cultural identity. They pass down social values, morality, and collective experiences from generation to generation. However, when traditions are followed without reason, discretion, and an appreciation of changing circumstances, they can suppress rationality and give rise to superstition. In this sense, this statement seems to be largely true. Many social evils, such as caste discrimination, untouchability, superstitious religious practices, and unfair restrictions on women, continued for a long time in the name of tradition. These practices were based not on logic or scientific thinking, but on fear, myth, and stereotypes. This weakened the spirit of critical thinking and innovation in society. However, it would not be correct to say that all traditions are anti-rational. Many traditions are based on empirical knowledge, such as Ayurveda, yoga, traditional water conservation practices, and family values. The problem lies not in tradition, but in its rigid adherence. When traditions are reviewed based on logic, science, and human values, they empower society. In a modern democratic society, it is essential to strike a balance between tradition and reason. The Constitution, education, and a scientific outlook play an important role in establishing this balance. In conclusion, if traditions suppress reason, they foster superstition. However, when adopted with a rational and critical approach, traditions can also contribute to social progress. Questions B's. How have digital initiatives in India contributed to the functioning of the country's education system? Discuss. Highs or words? Answer. A. Digital initiatives in India have significantly improved the delivery, access, and quality of the education system. Under the Digital India campaign, numerous technological innovations have been adopted in the education sector, making the teaching-learning process more inclusive, flexible, and effective. First, online learning platforms like Diksha, Swayan, and Swayamprabha have made quality educational content accessible to remote areas of the country. This has provided equal opportunities to rural and underprivileged students. E-schools and digital content have made the curriculum more engaging and understandable. Secondly, during the COVID-19 pandemic, digital education prevented the education system from collapsing. Teaching continued uninterrupted through online classes, webinars, and e-assessments. This demonstrated the resilience of the education system. Third, digital initiatives have also been useful in teacher training. Online training modules and virtual workshops have enhanced teacher capacity. Furthermore, digital attendance, student data management, and e-governance have brought transparency and efficiency to administrative tasks. However, challenges such as the digital divide, internet connectivity, and lack of digital literacy remain. However, The government is working to mitigate these barriers through BharatNet, affordable data, and the availability of devices. Thus, digital initiatives have significantly contributed in making the Indian education system more accessible, modern, and future-oriented. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. UPSC Government. Jobs batch starting soon. Online live classes, unlimited access for limited period. Hindi English medium. Updated study material. Affordable fees. Regular counseling and discussion. Join now, limited seats. Contact +917668008186 9410483500